Preface. 29 January 1991. 0415 Zulu. 7:15 a.m. local. Near Qasr, Iraq. What was happening to me was way beyond my understanding, but I knew I didn't like it at all. A tiny, out-of-the-way portion of my mind vaguely remembered being human, and though I didn't exactly feel dead, alive probably wouldn't be the first word that popped into my brain if I had to describe my status. I longed to whimper, to retreat from this horrible existence, but as my humanity struggled to regain control, I caught myself, I think, before anything came out. In reality, I doubt I could have made a sound if I tried. My mouth had been filled with a collection of dirt, rock, and powder, which combined into a dirty, smelly sludge that choked off any chance for a single unobstructed breath. Seconds passed, and I began to be aware I possessed a body, arms, legs, and, oh shit, a head that hurt so much that without the mouth-filling sludge, I would be full on crying in pain, not caring who heard me. The limits of my body were being charted for me once again, and I kept waiting, seemingly in vain, to recover control of a part that didn't hurt. Once my ears began working again, they began registering a low-frequency droning coming from everywhere at once. Concentrating on it, however, I finally realized the sound came from within rather than from the outside. I stirred and tried to push myself off the ground, pausing on all fours to begin the process of spitting the dirt out onto the ground once, twice, then 3 times, and on the last attempt, I'd cleared my mouth out enough to taste blood, which I took to be a good sign. I would have given everything I owned for a single drink of water to wash out the remnants of the crap still coating the inside of my mouth and hiding among my teeth. As I tried to lever myself off the ground, a jolt of pain knifed through my head, pushing a groan from my now functionally cleared of debris mouth. "Shit," I managed to croak as I collapsed back into a sitting position. I raised my hands to the source of my most extreme discomfort, my head, and as I tried to check for an obvious injury, my hands stopped short when they struck something hard. That's right, I'm wearing my flight helmet. Using both hands, I unbuckled the strap and pulled it off my head, setting off a new and even more intense wave of pain, this one morphing into nausea, forcing me back on all fours, the sickness in my guts sending signals to retch and vomit. Impossible, since I hadn't eaten anything since early in last night's mission. "Where the hell am I asked, gathering the strength necessary to stand up, and, at the same time, I was amazed that I had accomplished the task. The deep ringing had ceased now, and as the seconds passed, the sounds of the world resumed. I began to be aware of the sound of voices, nothing in a language I understood, but by the sound of them, those talking were agitated and seriously pissed. I had dropped my helmet when I collapsed back to my hands and knees, and it had hit the ground and rolled away, displaying an ugly, dark, dirty gray gash in the smooth white finish. The left side was marred, which made me as angry as the voices I could hear, the flight helmet being a source of pride and accomplishment for me, its black and yellow heraldic shield depicting a lion, a sword, and a lightning bolt covering most of one side. The dark gray, almost black, curved plexiglass visor hung from a single fastener. The violence done to my most important personal protection device infuriated me. What the fuck? The memory of what had happened came back in a rush, and as I turned to the right, my eyes moving to where an obviously dead body lay on its back, one eye half open, the other closed, a small neat hole an inch or so below his hairline, halfway between the center line of his nose and left eye. Laying next to the dead man was an AK-47 rifle, butt in the dirt, the muzzle across its former owner's right thigh. There was enough light to see the rocks behind where the dead man had been standing, hideously painted with the blood and other things I didn't want to think about. Had I done this? The thought immediately ran through my mind. Yes, Richard, you did that. I looked down at my right hand, but I held no gun. I'd had the Beretta 9mm auto at some point, but the weapon was nowhere to be found. As I began to frantically search for my misplaced pistol, I found another AK within arm's reach, and I knew that even though the rifle didn't belong to me, I'd fired that one. I remembered the texture of the carved wooden pistol grip in my right hand, the smoother finished wood of the forestock in my left, and the loose, noisy way its action worked as it fired. I continued the scan of my surroundings, and as more memories flooded back in, I quickly turned to my left toward where the other body lay, the sight seeming to flip a switch in my brain, downloading the rest of my memories. Oh no. The second man I hadn't killed. He was dressed exactly like me. The same flight suit with the same patches sewn on. The heraldic insignia, lightning bolts, lying rampant, and the words Atkron 145 are on the bottom. His helmet, which I knew displayed the same design as mine, was twisted around, hiding his face. But I knew what it looked like. How had this all happened? How did I get here? I'm a 47-year-old software designer. I'm in a cover band that plays gigs one weekend a month. I have a wife and a daughter. I do not wear a uniform, and I do not fight with other men in the desert, sometimes killing them. The hell is this all about? Recovering alcoholics and drug abusers talk about having a moment of clarity, which usually starts them back on their journey to normalcy. Is that what this is? I ask myself. A moment of clarity? A final realization about the world I've been living in for the past, 15 years now isn't real? Or was this clarity just the intense desire to extract myself from the horrifying situation I suddenly found myself in? No, this really horrifying situation I had gotten myself into. There was no one to blame here but me. No one was responsible for these two dead bodies but me. 15 years ago, I woke up not where I should have been, but somewhere I never thought I would see again. Waking up there was not my doing. The things I'd done since then, the decisions I'd made since the spring of 1976, are all my doing. As awareness of my situation kept returning, I remembered there weren't just two dead bodies I was responsible for. There were four. I closed my eyes, a rising tide of dark despair filling me. My life wasn't supposed to be this way. What the hell had happened? Enough of me had returned to feel accountable and responsible. I'd failed my friends, but the failure hadn't been because I hadn't cared or wanted to succeed. The dice had been tossed and my friends' numbers had come up, killing them. I still felt a crushing responsibility, though, an emotion as raw right there, right now, as they were across so many years and miles. In the desert that night, though, I had to play it all through. Rebooting out wasn't an option. I had been in this world, real or not, and only one exit existed. Nobody gets out of here alive, the saying goes. Or do they? As if in answer to my question, a shockingly loud tsunami of sound washed over the small enclosed circle of rocks I shared with two dead men, and I looked up just in time to observe the tail of a jet-black helicopter streak over, slicing the blue-gray early morning sky. Time to go.